I was reborn, and my family can hear my thoughts. The light from the chandelier in the banquet hall fell like shattered diamonds, and the sting of my nails digging into my palm felt especially sharp. This wasn't a dream. I had truly returned to that Thanksgiving dinner, when I was 20, the very night Megan spilled the 1982 Lafite on my custom-made dress, and accused me of being jealous that she stole my chance to marry Ethan. Ella, I know you're a bit resentful about my engagement to Ethan, but you shouldn't take it out like this. Megan's voice was sweet as melted maple syrup, but her hand, holding the wine glass, tilted deliberately. The dark red wine was about to splash onto my snow-white Ralph Lauren dress. Curious glances from guests at tables decorated with pumpkin vines and dried flowers were already upon us. A Thanksgiving dinner meant for family reunion, and she chose this moment to stage her pitiful act. My heart clenched violently. Memories from my previous life flooded back. It was this very glass of wine that made my father, Richard, slap me in public, calling me a disgrace. Ethan's parents cancelled our engagement on the spot, turning instead to place the Tiffany diamond ring that should have been mine onto Megan's finger. She stepped on my reputation to become the gentle lady in our social circle, telling everyone to be extra kind to poor, lonely Ella, perfectly playing the role of the flawless stepsister from an American family drama. Here we go again, the White Lotus act. This glass of wine ruined me in my last life. Dad scolded me for being unreasonable, and Megan used the dowry from Ethan's family to buy a limited edition Hermes. Who wants a scumbag like Ethan who cheated 3 times in a year? You can tolerate him fooling around with his assistant, but I have my limits. As this thought finished, my father, Richard, who had already frowned and was about to reprimand me, suddenly froze. The anger on his face solidified midair, his eyes looking past Megan to land directly on me, filled with disbelief and confusion, as if he had heard something utterly absurd. Even the chef carving the turkey nearby paused, his knife and fork clattering against the silver platter. My heart sank. Just as I was about to swallow the rest of my internal rant, Megan had already put down her glass with fake concern and reached out to touch my dress. Sis, this dress was specially ordered for tonight, right? It would be a shame if it got stained. Let me help you wipe it. Don't touch. Your hands were on a dirty rag 10 minutes ago. In my last life, your helpful wipe smeared the stain, and I had to escape through the back door wrapped in a tablecloth, only to be photographed by paparazzi and splashed across the papers with headlines like Houghton heiress loses her composure. You knew the media would be here tonight and planned to humiliate me all along. Hiss, my stepmother, Susan, who stood behind my father, suddenly gasped sharply, instinctively grabbing Megan's wrist. Her tone changed pitch. Megan, don't touch your sister. Let the servants handle it. The pearl necklace around her neck, a Christmas gift from my father last year, swayed nervously. Megan, clearly not understanding her mother's strange reaction, poutedly, her eyes reddening further. Mom, I just wanted to help sis. Is she still mad at me? She turned to Ethan, who had just walked over, her voice trembling with sobs. Ethan, please talk to Ella. I really didn't mean it. Ethan, dressed in a sharp Armani suit, and holding a champagne flute, wore the typical gentlemanly smile of a Wall Street elite. He was just about to speak when my thoughts exploded first. Worry about yourself. Yesterday at 3 p.m., you were fooling around with Megan's best friend, Sophie, in room 302 at the Hyatt. The key card. Megan gave it to you. That Hermes of hers. Either you paid for it, or she traded it for my stolen design drafts. At the Met Gala jewelry exhibition, she presented my graduation project as her own. Her nerve is thicker than the base of the Statue of Liberty. My cousin, Jack, spat his champagne onto the floor. He hurriedly wiped his mouth with a napkin, looking at me as if he'd seen a ghost. Ella, what you said. Ethan is right here. He had just returned from a vacation in California, a small starry sky pendant I gave him for his birthday pinned to his baseball cap. I was completely stunned, I hadn't spoken aloud. But the guests around us began whispering, their eyes darting between me and Megan. Gossip in high society is always more tempting than turkey. Ethan's face turned from white to green. He instinctively glanced at the shiny Birkin bag on Megan's wrist, his Adam's apple bobbing. My father, Richard, finally snapped out of his shock. He placed his knife and fork on his plate with a loud clang, his lips trembling as he spoke. Ella, what you just said. Ethan cheated 3 times. And with Sophie in a hotel. Kissing an intern in Central Park on Valentine's Day, hiding in the cabin with a B-list actress at the yacht party, and this time Megan personally delivered the key card. You two are more cliched than a Broadway drama. Yet this silent retort seemed to broadcast itself audibly to everyone nearby. The banquet hall fell silent instantly. The gazes of aunts, uncles, and cousins fixed squarely on Ethan and Megan. Megan's face lost all color, her hand clutching Ethan's arm beginning to shake. Ethan, don't listen to her nonsense. Ella is just jealous of me, jealous that Dad and Mom love me, jealous that you chose me. Jealous of you being the other woman. Or jealous of you trading favors for resources. Last month you called in sick claiming period cramps, but you were actually at a private hospital getting an abortion. The driver Tom, saw you coming out of the OBGYN department, crying on the phone to Susan. Ethan was on a business trip in London. Is the gallery owner who drove you home the father? Gasp. Someone in the crowd finally couldn't hold back a low exclamation. Ethan violently shook off Megan's hand, stepping back half a step, his expensive leather shoes scraping sharply on the floor. His eyes were full of shock and disgust. Megan, you need to explain this to me. What is going on? His mother had covered her mouth, her makeup seeming to twist with shock. Megan panicked completely. Tears hung on her cheeks but forgot to fall. She could only stare at me hatefully. It's you. You're deliberately slandering me. Ella, you just can't stand that I have a better life than you. That Starry Sky jewelry series you designed, if I hadn't helped you refine the details, how could it have been selected by the Met? And now you bite the hand that fed you. This ignited my fury. In my previous life, I had spent 3 months buried in the studio for the Starry Sky series. The inspiration came from the night sky over the New Mexico desert. Every gemstone cut was calculated meticulously. Megan stole the designs while I was studying in Paris, erased my signature, and became the rising star designer, while Susan accused me of being jealous and hysterical. You call that refining? The original sapphire was cut in the shape of the Big Dipper, you changed it to round. If the museum consultant, Mr. Davis, hadn't noticed something wrong and asked me, you would have been exposed long ago. The original drafts are in the safe in my room. There's a coffee stain on the 3rd page. We can go get them right now. Susan even helped you hide my design tools, telling Dad I had given up. Do you dare confront him? As soon as this thought finished, Mr. Davis stepped forward. What Ella says is true. He pulled out his phone to show some sketches. These are what she sent me back then. The Big Dipper design matches the altered parts perfectly. The signature initial, E, was partially erased using editing software. Susan's face instantly turned as white as paper. She instinctively shrank back, a pearl from the necklace around her neck slipping off and rolling onto the floor with a crisp sound. My father Richard's gaze swept over his wife's panicked expression, and then landed on Megan's pale face. His breathing became heavy. Just as he was about to speak, Megan suddenly screamed and lunged at me. I'll fight you. Ella, you bitch. I was prepared and sidestepped, my thoughts clearly transmitted. In my last life, you pushed me down the stairs like this, broke my left leg, and then told the doctor I fell, even altering my medical records. If it weren't for the nurse testifying, I would have carried the reputation of being clumsy to my grave. Smack. A crisp slap echoed through the banquet hall. My father Richard's palm, which in the previous life had struck my face, now landed squarely on Megan's cheek. The force was so strong that Megan staggered back 2 steps, hitting the corner of the dining table behind her. Blood immediately seeped from the corner of her mouth, her delicate makeup now smeared. How dare you hurt Ella? Richard's voice trembled with rage, his finger pointing at Megan's nose. How did the Houghton family raise such a vicious thing? Ella is my daughter. How dare you treat her like this? The family crest pin on his chest heaved violently with his anger. Susan immediately rushed over to shield Megan, crying out to Richard, "Darling, don't listen to Ella's lies. She's just blinded by jealousy. Megan is so kind, how could she possibly do such things? We went to church together just yesterday." Kind? Are you thinking right now, if Ella dies, the Houghton fortune will be Megan's? You said exactly that to her in my last life, calling me the surplus burden. When Ethan was harassing me, you deliberately didn't answer my calls, hoping something would happen to me, didn't you? I saw you two in the kitchen discussing how to get rid of me. Susan's crying stopped abruptly, as if someone had choked her. Her mouth hung open, her face turning from deathly pale to purplish, unable to utter a word. The murmurs of the crowd surged around them like a tide. The guests looked at the mother and daughter with contempt. Some even started gathering their things to leave. Such a scandal at a Thanksgiving dinner was utterly disgraceful. Ethan had already taken out his phone, speakingly into it. Check 2 things for me. First, Megan's hospital records for the past 6 months. Second, the check-in information for room 302 at the Hyatt yesterday. Send it to me immediately. Megan completely broke down. She sat on the floor wailing, cursing intermittently through her tears, completely shedding her previous ladylike demeanor. Security quickly arrived and escorted her out. Richard looked at me, his eyes filled with guilt, his voice trembling. Ella, your father was wrong. I shouldn't have refused to listen to your explanations before. I shouldn't have been deceived by that mother and daughter. I looked at my father's red-rimmed eyes, feeling only bitterness in my heart. In my previous life, when I lay in the hospital with a broken leg, calling him, begging him to pick me up, he had impatiently told me to be more accommodating to Megan. It was snowing in New York that day, the hospital room was as cold as an icebox. Wrong? When Ethan publicly pulled my hair, you said I provoked him. When Megan threw acid and disfigured me, you believed their story that I was being careless. Is a simple I was wrong enough for all that pain? The scars on my arm still ache. Tears instantly fell from Richard's eyes. He stepped forward, wanting to touch my shoulder but afraid to scare me, so he stood frozen in place. Your father is a bastard, blind. Ella, don't worry, from now on, I will protect you. I won't let you suffer any more grievances. Tomorrow, I'll take you to the best hospital to remove the scars on your arm, okay? The dinner ended in a farce, but it became the talk of New York's upper crust. Ethan found proof of Megan's abortion and the hotel records, immediately calling off the engagement. Megan was expelled from Parsons School of Design for academic fraud. Susan was caught by Richard transferring assets, divorced him, and left with nothing, not even taking her pearl necklace. And I, overnight, became the priority protected person of the Houghton family. Jack often said my current treatment rivaled that of the first daughter in the White House. Even if I sneezed, someone would hand me a tissue. I became the Houghton family's priority protected person. At 7 a.m., if I thought I was editing drafts until dawn, I don't want to go to work. I want to sleep in, my father would call, saying he had already taken care of my leave, and that there was pumpkin soup and blueberry scones in the kitchen. At lunch, if I frowned at the steamed cod, thinking, it's a bit fishy, not as good as the one at that Manhattan seafood place, the chef would immediately apologize, and within half an hour, bring me my favorite pan-seared steak, along with a reservation for the whole family at that restaurant for the weekend. In the afternoon, scrolling through news of a Hollywood actor's scandal, if I, so handsome but such bad character, and I bought the perfume he endorsed, Jack would message me that evening saying he'd withdrawn his investment in that star and bought me a new Chanel perfume instead. I finally snapped, shouting in my mind, can you please stop listening to my thoughts? This morning Jack saw me before I washed my face. I thought my image is ruined, and he sent me la mer in the afternoon. It's so embarrassing. I just want to relax at home. The living room fell silent instantly. Grandpa closed his book and saidly, Ella, if you have any thoughts, just tell us directly. We won't eavesdrop any more. We respect your privacy. Looking at their expressions, my nose stung. In my previous life, on that rainy night of the car accident, I called for help, only to hear Susan say, she's lying again, before the call was disconnected. And now, they were trying their absolute hardest to make it up to me. 3 months later, spring arrived, and the cherry blossoms in New York were in full bloom. I thought Megan and Susan had disappeared for good, but I never expected them to return in such an extreme way. My 21st birthday party was held in the villa garden, with only close family present. Just as I was about to cut the cake, Megan, dressed in black, rushed out from the bushes, a fruit knife in her hand. Her hair was disheveled, all traces of her former refinement gone. Watch out! Megan has a knife. Jack, get out of the way. My thoughts screamed sharply. Jack instantly lunged, pushing me aside. With a thud, the knife plunged into his arm, blood splattering onto the white cake. He grunted, holding me back. Ella, stay back. It's dangerous. If I can't have a good life, neither will you. Megan shrieked. You stole my engagement, my reputation, my dreams. If it weren't for you, I'd be Ethan's fiancée by now. Seeing Jack's bleeding arm, my rage boiled over. Those were all mine to begin with. In my last life, you locked me in the basement, watched me take my last breath, and said, finally, no one is in my way. Stealing my designs, disfiguring me, bribing the driver to crash my car, your hands are filthy with dirty deeds. The law won't let you get away with this. The madness on Megan's face turned to fear. Just then, police sirens wailed. Richard, worried about her seeking revenge, had arranged for security. They called the police as soon as she appeared. The police pinned her to the ground. She was still screaming madly, the Houghton fortune should be mine. As the handcuffs snapped shut, she finally broke down sobbing. Richard held my hand, his own trembling. Don't be afraid, Ella. No one can hurt you anymore. Before being taken to the hospital, Jack even managed a smile and said, it's just a scratch. Consider it a birthday present. Later, Megan was sentenced to 15 years for attempted murder, and Susan received a 3-year sentence for her involvement in the frame-up. The day we got the news, I was sunbathing in the garden. Jack brought me an iced Americano. In the distance, the Statue of Liberty shimmered warmly in the sunlight. Grandpa, leaning on his cane, came over and sat down. Ella, actually, we've been able to hear your thoughts for a while now. I nearly spilled my iced Americano. It started after Ethan pushed you down the stairs. Grandpa's voice was hoarse. You were unconscious in the hospital for 3 days. When you woke up you kept thinking, will Grandpa think I'm a bother? We felt something was wrong then, but Susan said you were mentally unstable from the shock, even bringing up things from your childhood to call you jealous. And we actually believed her. My eyes welled up. During that hospital stay in my previous life, Susan brought Megan to visit every day, playing the devoted mother and dutiful daughter, while I was relegated to a mere backdrop. Then why did you only tell me now? I thought. You became more and more distant after leaving the hospital, locking yourself in your room with your designs. Grandpa pulled out a faded, simply drawn picture I made as a child, the whole family sitting around the dinner table, with me off in a corner. It wasn't until Thanksgiving, when we heard you scream, I don't want to be wrongly accused again, that we realized how much we owed you. The clumsy lines of the drawing pierced my heart. So my grievances, they had seen them all along, but lies had built a wall between us. I'm sorry, Ella. Your grandfather was an old fool, he said, covering my hand with his. I shook my head, but tears fell anyway. Richard approached with a watering can, Jack following behind holding a brown paper bag. Ella, those Brooklyn cookies you love, still warm. Seeing the hopeful looks in their eyes, I smiled inwardly. It's okay. Things are really good now. The spring breeze rustled the tulips. Richard handed me a glass of warm water. Grandpa set up the chessboard. Let's play a game. And no calling me a stubborn old man in your head if you lose. I took a bite of the warm cookie, the chocolate melting on my tongue. The sunlight bathed us, turning the cold of the past into warm spots of light, the stolen time, the misunderstood grievances, all gently smoothed over by this beloved love.